We shake hands, no punching. You know, it's amazing to have you in our show, honestly. I've been seeing when I was growing up, you've been doing a lot of work with other NAFAs and drug-related jobs. You're also working for NDC with what, 56 million project?
That's right, yes.
Amazing.
Yes.
So, would you like to say something about your job you left and came to NAFAS and how you improved your life?
Well, I've always worked in organisations that are based in the community. My first job was working as a deputy manager for victim support, so supporting people who have been victims of crime, specifically Asian BME community, and this was something new during that time. This was the time of Stephen Lawrence, you would remember. This was the time he was murdered, so racism was very high on the agenda. There was a lot of racist incidents in Tower Hamlets, so that was my first proper real job, if you like, as a deputy manager of Tower Hamlets Victim Support. After that, I left and worked for the council in Ocean NDC around the drugs and community safety field. And that was more around commissioning, funding voluntary organisations, funding organisations like NAFAS, for example. And then I wanted something different. I wanted to work from the practitioner perspective, so really on the ground. And so I had an opportunity to come and work for NAFAS, so that's when I came and joined NAFAS exactly almost 10 years ago now.
I'm sure it's not the same pay as you used to get paid with NDC and
local authorities' pay scales are much more than voluntary sector pay scale. But working for the voluntary sector, it brings its own rewards. People who work, not just in NAFAS, but other voluntary sector organisations, don't work there for the funds or the money. They work because they believe in the organisation and what it stands for. Voluntary sector organisations generally come up because there's a gap in the service. So the statutory bodies are not filling that service. So a voluntary sector organisation is created to fill that gap. So by its nature, it's not an organisation that you work for because you want to get very rich. It's an organisation you work for because you want to make the community richer.
You know, it's wonderful to work with your own community, especially there are lots of young Muslim boys and girls involved in drugs nowadays. And this is one of the factors for crime, I'm sure, I'm assuming, the drugs.
Yes.
Would you like to touch on that? How?
Well, obviously, there are crimes directly associated with drugs, alcohol, antisocial behaviour, for example. A lot of antisocial behaviour, especially over the weekends, is caused because of the late night drinkers going home. With drugs, there are specific crimes, car crimes, burglary, and so forth associated with that. Most often, you will find that there are reasons behind the individual committing that crime, and then when they're tested, they are found that they're either doing the crime because they want to feed their habits. So yes, I mean, I'm trying to underplay the situation because I don't want people to get fearful of it, but there are specific crimes that happen because an individual may be on drugs, for example. And these are opportunist crimes, so you left your bag in the car, for example, they see it, they'll break the car to get that get that bag because they want to feed their habits.
Doesn't it affect you? It's a very emotional area to work on. I'm sure you get lots of calls from the mothers, the sisters, or the wives that get abused by the drug users. Would you like to share one or two emotional side of that?
It does affect you, but
it's not individual, is it?
No,
someone doing it, a whole family is affected by.
Of course, and basically, so when you learn to deal with that as well, you have to be able to deal with that if you're working in this field. And this field, there are other more challenging fields. You know, when I was working for victim support, for example, I was getting sexual abuse cases within the family, within